What's up, Car Squad fam, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Derek and I do car reviews. Today we'll be checking out this 2023 Nissan Leaf. Now the Nissan Leaf comes in two trim packages. There's the base model S, which starts at about $28,000, and then there's the SV Plus, which starts at $36,040. Today I'll give you a tour around the exterior and interior of the vehicle. Then I'll put you in the driver's seat for a point of view drive, and then finally I'll wrap it up by giving you my thoughts on the vehicle. And one other thing, I am located here in the Northern California Bay Area, so if you have a vehicle up this way that I can review, please shoot me an email at the address listed here. Thanks. Alright, so as we move underneath the hood of the vehicle, I do want to show first underneath this charge port cover, you will find your level 1 and level 2 charge port here, and then your level 3 charger there as well. That charge port cover can be opened via the key or from a button in the interior of the vehicle. Underneath the hood, you'll see the electric motor that powers this vehicle. It is a 60 kilowatt battery pack, which has an estimated 212 miles of range. On the base level S trim, you get a 40 kilowatt battery pack, which has an estimated 149 miles of range. This vehicle is front wheel drive. Horsepower and torque are also up compared to the standard S trim level. This SV Plus has 214 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque. The S, meanwhile, gets 147 horsepower and 236 pounds-feet of torque. Now, before we move all the way to the trunk and rear of the vehicle, I did want to cover these wheels for just a moment. These are the premium wheels that the SV Plus comes with in comparison to just the base standard S. I know a lot of people do like the look of them. To me, I do think they look a little funny with the black and then the silver pieces just towards the end. To me, it kind of looks like this wheel is still in its plastic wrapping and isn't fully opened yet. But leave a comment below on what you think of these wheels. Alright, so moving into the trunk of the vehicle now. This is not a one-touch trunk, so you do have to actually manually lift the trunk lid up. Once you're back here in the trunk, you'll see you do have a very good amount of space back here. The trunk is quite deep as well, so you've got a decent amount of space to store and haul whatever items you may need to. You also, of course, have the option to drop these rear seats by pulling on this tab. One thing that is worth noting is these seats, when down, are higher than the trunk floor itself, so there's a little bit of a step here instead of having one smooth, even, level surface. You do get an emergency road kit as well as a first aid kit. However, there is no spare tire standard on the Nissan Leaf. Alright, so moving into the rear of the vehicle now. The driver's seat is set to my driving position. I am 6'1", and for me sitting back here, it is quite tight. Another issue is I wear a size 14 shoe and my foot barely fits here. I have to really tuck them underneath this front seat, but getting past the rear bracket on the seat on the ground is a little bit of a challenge for me. Headroom is good. I don't have any issue there. It's just really the leg room here is quite tight. On the door panel itself, you do have just your window control. You have a small pocket just behind that. And then down below, you do have a cup holder, which is nice. Now, you do have no center armrest that folds down, and this is technically a 5-seater vehicle. However, you'll see on the floor here where that center seat would be, you have a storage space along with 2 cup holders. So there's not really a spot to sit here. You'll see if I were to try to sit here, your feet really have to go into the space of the passengers on either side of you. Otherwise, you're having to pick your feet up on top. I can't even get my size 14 feet through the gap here to demonstrate, but it wouldn't be very comfortable sitting here in the center seat. One nice thing is you do have 2 charging ports here, USB ports, so rear passengers can have their devices charged, and again, there's a little storage space there that they can put those phones or whatever devices it is that they have. Alright, so now moving into the driver's seat, on the door itself, you of course have your left and right mirror controls. Just behind that, you have your lock, unlock button, along with all your window controls. Again, you do have a small pocket just behind that, and then down below, another small storage space, as well as a cup holder. As far as the driving position itself and the seats themselves, very comfy for me. I have no issues there. Decent headroom again here, and you know, space for the legs is decent as well. You've got electronic controls here, adjust the seat up, down, forward, back. You've also got electronic lumbar support adjustments, so not only can I find a comfortable position, but the seats themselves are also quite comfortable as well. On the left side of the steering wheel here, you will find your gauge cluster control adjustment for the brightness, as well as your trip reset button. Down below that, you'll find a button here. That is to turn on and off a charging timer. To the left of that, you have your button to pop that charging port door open. And then below that, you've got your steering assist button, as well as your heated steering wheel button. On the steering wheel itself, you'll find on the left side your controls for the gauge cluster screen. So you can scroll through, as well as see a variety of things like audio, positional GPS, range remaining. You also have your audio controls here for music, so toggling through tracks and adjusting the volume. On the right side, you have your hands-free phone controls along with voice command. This vehicle has Pro Pilot Assist standard, so your controls for the adaptive cruise control are found here. The left side button on that adjusts the space sensitivity for that, so if you want to be a little closer to the vehicle in front of you or extend the space, that can all be controlled with this. Now the infotainment system, I really like that it's fairly simple to use. It is touchscreen, not complicated at all, and you do have some actual old school buttons here to easily access things. The main menu, the map, audio, and just standard knobs to turn the volume up and down. You also do have a button here to toggle between auto and night mode for the brightness of the screen as well. Pressing the camera button will bring up 360 camera, and this vehicle also comes equipped with not only a backup camera but also a front camera. Now these do come standard with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, it is not a wireless connection, so you'll want to make sure you have a cable on hand to be able to connect and take advantage of that function. Down below the touchscreen, you will find, again, more old school buttons to control your climate control. Again, very simple to use, turning the temperature up and down on the left. On the far right, you've got your fan speed adjustments, and you can toggle between auto mode as well as just the manual mode there with the center button. Just below that, you'll find on the left side, that is your push to start button, and then you've got a USB-A and USB-C. This vehicle also does come with heated seats, so you've got a low setting and high setting for both front passengers. And then to the right of that, you'll find your cigarette lighter style outlet. Just underneath that area, you will find a small pocket here, so it could be good for putting that key in or storing a phone in. And then just behind that, you have your eco mode button as well as your e-pedal button. That is to toggle on and off that regenerative braking, going to just the one pedal driving. You'll also find your screen here with directions on how to put the vehicle into gear. You just push down on the brake, and then pushing the shifter to the left will put the vehicle in neutral. If you shift left and up, that will put the vehicle into reverse, and then left and down puts it into drive. To put the vehicle in park, you just press that P on top, and that puts you in park. Of course, behind that you have two cup holders along with your emergency parking brake, and then of course you've got your center armrest. It is quite small, and when you open it up, you will see it's fairly deep, but still not a ton of space to store a lot of items in there. Up above, you do have all your dome light controls, and then you also do have a drop down sunglass storage spot, which is always nice. Let's see if these window visors open out and slide. So there's open, and it does slide, so that's nice. It doesn't slide very far out, so any portion of this where sun would be shining through would still hit me, but at least it does slide. Well, that wraps up the walk around tour of this vehicle. Now I'll put you in the driver's seat to see what it's like driving it. Alright, so my thoughts on driving the 2023 Nissan Leaf. The first thing that stood out to me is that it was a very comfy ride. Not only did it ride very well, but the seats as well, like I mentioned, were comfortable. And yes, while the back seats were small for me personally, the seats themselves were comfy. I do think that this vehicle could work well for a family with some young kids who don't need a ton of space back there. Now, as far as power goes, due to the traffic when I was driving it, I didn't really get the opportunity to get on it a whole lot. But with the few opportunities that I did have the chance to do so, it felt fine. I don't think you would have any issues with merging onto a highway or overtaking someone in a short space. Now, pricing, that's the big thing with this vehicle. It does start at about 36 grand in this setup with the SV Plus package, and that is not a small amount of money. Now, if you're in the market for a brand new EV, I do think compared to other vehicles, this is a great option. Yes, it's $36,000, which is a lot of money, but it is on the lower end price-wise when you compare it to other brand new EVs available. Of course, you have the Chevy Bolt, but there's been issues with that and the batteries suddenly catching fire. That topic of price is kind of my issue, not just with the Leaf, but the whole EV market in general. It's that price of entry. $36,000 being on the lower end, again, is still a lot of money for most people, and that's a lot of money to spend on a vehicle which in a few years is going to have its range cut down quite a bit. A friend in Oregon has had a Leaf for about 4 or 5 years and can no longer make the trip from Salem to Portland and back with confidence that they're not going to run out of charge. So I just think that's a large amount of money to then have to deal with an issue like that. That diminished range is basically going to just turn this vehicle into just a local run-around town car. And the owner of this Leaf bought it exactly for that. But I think with that limitation and knowing that you're spending so much upfront for a vehicle which will have a diminished range in a few years, if you're looking for something just to run short trips around town with, I do think financially, I'd probably choose to go a different route. Even if a used Leaf with 6 bars remaining only gives you 60 to 70 miles of range, if you're only using it to run around town locally to the grocery store, maybe work is close by, picking up kids from school and dropping them off, then that reduced range doesn't matter a whole lot and you're going to pay probably less than 8 grand to get into something like that. You can even just get a used Prius or fuel-efficient Civic or Corolla for a lot less. And I know people don't like the look of the Prius and it gets its hate, but I wouldn't say that you can make the argument for the Leaf being a more stylish or cooler looking vehicle either. They're about the same, at least in my opinion. I do think that electric vehicles are the future with the way things are going, but in my personal opinion, I feel there is still a lot to be fine-tuned with the vehicles as we are seeing. Things like the range lasting over time, not just for 4 or 5 years, making sure the battery life stays consistent whether it's cold or warm outside. And of course, things have improved and are developing, but I personally wouldn't want to spend that amount of money up front for something that's being mastered and kind of being a test dummy in the process. But that's just my opinion, and I'd love to hear yours. Would you spend $36,000 on a new Leaf, or what are some other vehicles you would buy instead with that money? Let me know down below. But again, if a new EV is what you're specifically in the market for, then I do think this is a great choice. It's simple, it's comfortable to drive, functional when it comes to storage space, and priced well in comparison to other brand new EVs. Well, that wraps up the review of this 2023 Nissan Leaf SV Plus. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already to make sure you're part of the Car Squad fam and not missing out on other videos like this. And be sure to give us a follow on Instagram at Car Squad TV. I'll put the link right here. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.